Today we're going to be talking about quality, like how can we deliver software which has better quality, right? So before that, a little bit about myself. I'm Sumedha R Kulkarni. I work as a senior front-end developer at Assembly, and a couple of things about me, I guess. Before we begin, I'd like to know you guys more, right? So we've been having some really interesting talks on React Server components. There was a mention of the latest React router and a bunch of other really cool things. But how many of y'all production code base is still in React 17? Show of hands, please. This will do, this will do. Yeah? All right. Who doesn't want the shiny new things that gets released? We all do? Yeah? So, what your takeaway from this talk is going to be how you can get your code base from React 17 or any other large-scale migration that you want to do with zero production incidents. I'm sorry, that was a little bit about our assembly. Is we were a typical 5-year-old React TypeScript tech stack. We were using Jest for our testing needs, right? And we were using Material UI and as our design system, and we were using CRA4 as our scaffolding tool, right? But the problem with that is, because we are a SOC 2 Type 2 compliant company, when we run vulnerability tests for security reasons, we came up with a lot of security issues, packages with security issues. Most of them had to do with CRA, right? So we decided to migrate to Vite, right? Vite is actually not even a new player in the block anymore. So we've successfully migrated our code base to Vite, right? The first rule of programming is, if it works, don't touch it. We're going to break this today, right? When we think about quality, what we mean is lesser production incidents, lesser bugs. We don't really think about our end users when we are thinking in terms of product requirements as we are shipping. We do, right? Then why do we still get bugs? When we think about the end user, right, we get our requirements from our product team, right? We ship the code, right? We ship it to QA. There is a ton of bugs. We're like, this is by design. Mark it to done. We ship it to production. All hell breaks loose. Customer support gets pinged. We launch incidents. This is me. This is my manager asking me what the hell went wrong, right? This is what our typical day looks like. We have feature development. We have refactoring needs. We want new things, so package and tooling upgrades. And we also need to be mindful about compliance and security, right? So all of this can be done with one of the tools. Like the tool that I'm going to be talking about today is testing. Another question to the audience right here. How many of you actually ship code with every PR that you write? Any rock stars out here? Woohoo, shout out, right? So our needs were simple. We had test cases that we wrote with Jest, but they all looked like 300, 400 lines of code that were totally unreadable, right? And as your code base scales, how can you make sure your test scales with your feature, right? Tomorrow, if I join your company and I see your code base and I see your tests, are they going to be a nightmare? Are they going to be a lot of, let's get this by this ID, let's get this by this locator? Does that give me any functional context at all if I want to refactor those things? I'm going to try answering a couple of those questions today. So I want a test suite which gives me quality and something that scales with my code, that is readable, so that even if you join me on the very first day, you can tell me exactly what my test is doing, right? And it should work on any browser or any platform, right? And my predecessor had an interesting comment. He said, things take time, right? End-to-end test cases, shipping them takes time, writing them takes time, running them takes time. Let's break all of those three things, shall we? Another thing that when I ask around, the main reason why people do not write tests is because they're way too hard to write. You need to mock a lot of things. it's very hard to debug when something goes wrong. Am I right or not? Yeah, that's true for me and for my team, right? So when we were looking around for some tools which helped us achieve all of those things, and because we're a startup, cost is a concern, right? Time is a concern. Resources are a concern. To which the tool which met all of our needs, ta-da, Playwright, right? So, enough talk. Let's see how easy it is to ship code so that before you go for that beer on Friday, you can still ship all the tests for your PR, right? So, people in the back, is the screen visible for you all? What we're trying to do now is I have scaffolded a simple test, right, with the first command that you ever see on the Playwright documentation. So all I have is a test folder. I don't really have an app right now. But the app I'm going to test is the app that you all have seen, which is the React Nexus app, right? Let's go. So to do this, you need two things. You need your Visual Studio Code, and you need the Playwright extension on top of it, right? So how do you all typically start writing tests? You generate the file, you import your things, and then you start writing things that you want to write about, right? What if I hit a button, things start recording, a new browser opens. So many of our test cases, when we serialize or parallelize, because of the older context that we have, things break randomly. And it's a nightmare to figure out why things went wrong. But with Playwright, with every test, you get brand new execution, brand new browser context, right? So all I need to do is I need to input the React Nexus URL. And as that loads, I just need to click. I need to click on home. When I click on venue, I see this. I want to test that this particular text is present. I go back, and I try to do, let's say for speakers, I want to see that this text exists. And I go back. Lo and behold, what do we have here? We have a test. I didn't even break a sweat, and we have a test, right? Was that so hard? Would you still not ship tests with your PRs? Hopefully the answer is no, right? Now, remember that nightmare I was talking about, where when people join your team, and when they see this, and they haven't really, gone through your app, what happens is they don't know what the hell is going on here, right? So, with just a few steps, how can we make sure that the tests are more readable? Because DX for the win. The tests are more scalable, that as you have your PRD, your tests should read exactly like your PRD. So how can we go about that, right? With the test suite that I showed you, right, I've done just a few changes here, where I've added a new helper, right? Now, I wanted to test the Nexus homepage, right? So what did I do? What is this Nexus homepage that I'm importing here, right? Let's go to the page object, where you see I'm exporting this class, right? And all of these things are literally what I just recorded before, right? Now let's see how these two things piece together. So you have a helper where you're actually importing this new page, and this new page, this class, has a load method. Now, typically when you want to do something repeatedly for every test, what do? You do it within test.before each, right? So, instead of that, what if before the test even runs, I can load all of those things for you, right? This is what the previous test became with the new helper, right? I'm importing, with this helper, I'm exporting this new Nexus homepage, which I'm then importing into my test. I added a new method called expect navigation to work as expected, which is readable, which is scalable, because you can hide all the lower level details into the implementation of this method. And when you come back here, what you see is a clean test, right? Let's say tomorrow, Kiran and team come to me and tell me, hey Sumedha, I want to add login to this, right? How many of you all follow test-driven development or BDD? Beautiful, shout out to you again, right? So if you want to do that with Playwright, all you got to do is you write await, next is home page, right? Expect, or actually I'm trying to log in, right? Log in as valid, I'm so sorry, user, right? But this errors out because this method doesn't exist. All I can do is declare a method for me, and because I'm doing test-driven development, I can make this fix me, and this is TDD. This is how you can take the new requirement, write it in the form of the PRD that you're given, and still end up with a test suite that scales and is more readable. So tomorrow, if I were to join the React Nexus team, if I want to understand what is going on, all I need to do is come to the test suite and see and read in plain English as to how things work. Isn't this beautiful? Okay, now let's also run this, shall we? Like, okay, I'm gonna save this. And running is as simple as clicking this particular button here, and it runs the tests for me. This was a new browser context I was talking about, right? And it just does all the things that I clicked, and also you can start asserting. Playwright has built on top of the React testing library that we have, so you can use all the selectors and locators there. Or if you don't want to do that, there's also a pick a locator that you can use with the extension, right? So what is your takeaway? Can you or can you not write tests now with just Visual Studio Code, your extension, and simple assertions? Yes? Yes? Okay. Tomorrow, when you want to migrate your code base from React 16 or 17 to React 18, or you want to do a bunch of other cool things, will this test suite, because you are going to make sure everything in the PRD is covered, will this not ensure that you are shipping things that don't break, things that do not cause production incidents, and things that are of top-notch quality? Yes or no? Did we achieve quality? And did we do it in some simple clicks? Yes? All right. That's my talk. You've been a fantastic audience. If you want to talk, if you want to explore more on any of these things, oh, I forgot I had this, right? So that's you. Then when you're trying to ship your code, yeah, your Playwright will watch for you, right? I'm Sumedha. This has been amazing. You all are a fantastic audience, and if you want to talk more, you can connect with me on Twitter. Thank you so much.